Hello, everybody. This is AK. I'm back. So, I was reading the news, and there's a bit about inflation in the US. Apparently, inflation isn't falling as rapidly as it did last year, and people are taking notice, of the how prices are still elevated, are still going up much faster than expected, right? So, I mean, the expectation was for inflation to fall to 2% this year, but it seems like now it's going to be 3.1%, according to a latest study, right? So, of course, we know that the US Fed has not cut interest rates. I mean, because they want to have inflation at 2%, right, and to hold steady at 2% before they start cutting interest rates. And of course, the market has been rallying on expectations of interest rate cuts. But like in the previous video, I said the expectation has become a bit more tempered. They expected like 4 interest rate cuts, and then they became 3 interest rate cuts, and some even say there might only be 2 cuts this year in the second half of the year, because inflation just isn't coming down as quickly as people initially expected, right? So what does that mean for us investors? Well, a few things. If inflation stays high and interest rates don't get the cuts that investors think they would this year, then it means it's good news for the banks, right? It means that from a net interest margin perspective, the banks will continue to do well, right? They will continue to make more money, right? And number two, it means that entities who are highly geared, right, have a lot of borrowings, won't do as well, right? And they will still feel the pressure. So, for example, REITs, right, they have borrowings. They will see the cost to finance their business staying high, right? And number three is also good news. This is good news for people who buy bonds and T-bills, in the sense that they will get higher yields, right? So for us who have a T-bill ladder, buying 6 months T-bills, we expect cut-off yields to stay higher for longer. And so the T-bill ladder strategy is still very viable. So what would I do? Well, I'm staying invested in the banks, number one, right? I expect them to continue to bring home the bacon, and significant, meaningful portions of bacon. And number two, I'm still staying sideline where REITs are concerned. It doesn't matter whether they are blue chips or not, as they are all highly geared or moderately geared, and it depends, of course, from REIT to REIT how much of their loans is actually on floating rates, right? If a lot of it is on floating rates, like in the case of Lendlease and Suntec, then of course, as interest rate stays elevated, they have to pay more, right, in terms of interest, and that would have a direct impact on DPU, right? Everything else being equal, right? But still, no matter whether blue chip or not, there will come a time when they have to refinance. So let's say they got their loans a few years ago at 2% interest rate, and now they have to refinance into an interest rate environment that's like 3-4% higher, right? So even if their loans were fixed at a very low interest rates, let's say for 3 years or 4 years, that 3 or 4 years will expire, and when they refinance, they have to pay a higher interest rate. So unless they are able to make up for that by having higher income from higher rentals, that will have a negative impact on the DPU. That will definitely come down. So I'm staying sideline where REITs are concerned. And number three, I will continue to strengthen my T-bill ladder, right, as long as the interest rates stay higher for longer, which stubbornly high inflation would probably result in, and we won't see the Fed cutting interest rates as aggressively or as many times or as quickly, right? And of course, Singapore, because MAS does not set interest rates, we import our interest rates from the US, so interest rates here are likely to stay higher for longer as well, right? And so the monetary conditions will probably remain tight, and this is a good thing for lazy investors like me as well. I mean, in my current situation, it just means that I don't have to do any adjustments to my strategy, right? I'll stay invested in the banks. I won't add to my positions in the REITs. I'll just hold on to whatever I have, and I will continue to strengthen my T-bill ladder. So that's just my strategy. What you do is up to you. If AK can talk to himself, so can you.